Thanks for staying with us. Still Midday Live. Time for us to do business with me, Nana Ikia Mensa Brampa. This afternoon, we're looking at reactions as to comments passed by some quarters on social media as well as the minority in Parliament, raising questions as to whether government is borrowing excessively. And yes, as they put it, but economists are also giving reasons why they believe government is borrowing excessively and the way forward. So let's look at the detail as well as some more stories this afternoon. Some economists say Ghana risks blacklisting. Well, let me take that story once again. Some economists say Ghana risks being blacklisted by investors if government does not identify prudent measures to reduce excessive borrowing. Well, they say the likelihood of being downgraded by most business ratings is also a possibility. Standard & Poor's, an international rating agency, in October downgraded Ghana's credit rating by one level from B to B- amid concerns that external financial support will not be enough to narrow the country's budget deficit. The finance minister has confirmed that Ghana's debt to GDP ratio has crossed the critical 60% mark. This has raised concerns. The country risks being classified as one with high risk of debt distress.
The high deficit and then the debt overhang increases your risk, profile, and that actually can lead to such a government, attracting a downgrade in that respect.
Some economists say if the country's debt continues to increase with excessive borrowing, investors will mark the country a junk mail zone.
Any country or any investor who wants to do business with you will have to be careful, because there's that tendency that you may not be able to honor your debt. So it increases your risk, and that is how come once you are downgraded, the interest rate that you have to offer for investors before you can borrow will be higher.
Go for additional debt, chances are that it's going to come at extra cost. That cost, don't forget, government can borrow at any interest rate. Demand for loanable funds when it comes to the government is inelastic. But the same is not true for the private sector.
They advise blocking loopholes in the public financial system and expenditure cuts will be the way forward.
Once you are able to do that and you reduce corruption and graft significantly, the amount that you are spending will definitely have a greater impact, because you tend to spend on more productive areas that will directly benefit the people.
We turn our attention now to some issues regarding trade, and Minister of Trade and Industry, Dr. Spio-Gabra, says the imbalance in trade over the years has negatively affected Ghana's economy. He intends employing a 2-year aggressive project to stabilize trade.
The trade minister at a meeting in Kofodia said Ghana's trade imbalance must change. He tasked Trade and Industry Ministry officials to make effective use of resources in promoting the sector.
Statistics and data are so weak in general. And it's not just a Ghana issue, it's an Africa-wide issue. It's a problem with developing countries. And the IMF always argues to countries about their statistics. The central bank says this, the economics ministry says that, then particular industry groups also say something else.
Dr. Spio-Gabra said the high public sector workforce with a handful of industries is worrying. He intends to lead a team of educationists and entrepreneurs to engage senior high students to focus on being industrious rather than looking up to government for jobs.
When we buy things made in our own country, that we shall be creating more jobs in Ghana rather than creating jobs for foreigners in their own countries. That is how you strengthen an economy, by producing jobs which put money in people's pockets so they can pay taxes, they can also look after their children, pay their school fees and pay their hospital bills.
Well, now the need for whistleblowers to be protected and rewarded as spelt in the Whistleblowers Act has been reiterated in the National Anti-Corruption Action Plan, and according to Shraj, doing so will encourage more people to give out information that will help fight corruption.
The NACAP is a national plan of action to combat corruption in Ghana in the next 10 years, engaging individuals, media and civil society organizations forms part of the objectives of NACAP. In line with this, Shraj organized a seminar for leaders of churches to educate them on the role they can play in fighting corruption. Deputy Commissioner of Shraj, Richard Kwesing, said the country must shift from investigating and prosecuting offenders to prevention.
A society where people feel comfortable to engage in corrupt practices is not a good society for fighting corruption. So we want to begin to work on the attitudes of the people to be more and more intolerant to corruption.
According to the director of the Anti-Corruption Department of Shraj, Charles Ayamdu, religious leaders are part of the 18 persons that corruption can be reported to per the Whistleblowers Act. He noted that the law prevents them from disclosing the whistleblower's identity. The need for the quick passage of the Right to Information Bill and the need to support investigative journalism was also highlighted at the seminar.
Now let's wrap it up with the currency market figures coming in from the central bank indicates that the cedi to the dollar has remained unchanged, and this has continued for some time now. Well, I'm sure that lots of questions have been raised regarding this particular one, talking about the cedi stability. But well, let's look at it from the business way. Now, on the currency markets, from the Bank of Ghana rates, buying at 3 Ghana cedis 19 pesos is the buying price for the cedi to the dollar, still also having a selling price of 3 Ghana cedis 19 pesos. It, however, depreciated to the pound by 4 Ghana cedis 19 pesos, looking at the data from the Bank of Ghana. Now buying at 5 Ghana cedis 01 pesos to the pound, and selling at 5 Ghana cedis 01 pesos. Also, these are the interbank rates. Remember, you would get the rates different when you visit the forex market as well as other areas you would want to exchange your monies. Now quickly, for the euro, that is the cedi to the euro, it is buying at 3 Ghana cedis 96 pesos and selling at 3 Ghana cedis 97 pesos. On the interbank markets later at 4:30, we'll be giving you more updates. But that'll do for business this afternoon. I'm Nanika Minta Brampa. Have a good afternoon.